Okay, g'day guys, thanks for stopping by. What we're doing today, or this evening, site supervisor down here, is going to pull the fuel tank and the fuel pump and get to an actual filter that's on this zx636 05 model. Now I've been having some issues. It sounded like she'd been running a bit rough, and it's been doing that for a little while, and you know, I've been planning on getting it in for a service. But what I actually did the other day, and this will, you know, if you've got one of these or possibly other bikes, you might have encountered this yourself, is around this fuel tank, the filler cap. You can see there's a gap around here, around the outside, and what actually happens when I had this sitting just under the awning here, the bikes like to sit on the pack frame, sorry, the birds like to sit on the pack frame here, and consequently shit all over the back of my bike. So I'm always trying to clean this and get it clean. Anyway, so with a bit of rain the other week, I thought I'd push it out from under the awning, out the back there. You can't see anything, but out the back there, and let the rain sort it out. Unfortunately, and as I'd forgotten, because I had sort of sorted it out before, what happens is this fills up with water through this gap around here, and then as soon as you open your petrol tank, that's filled up to sort of the lip here, and as soon as you open the petrol tank, you'll see all this water just sits in here, and I've got a bit of rust in there, which is not great. But anyway, basically what happened is the water gets in here. It's meant to drain out. I'm not sure whether you're going to see that. There's a hole there that gets a bit clogged up every now and then, and as soon as that fills, that gets clogged up, this whole section here fills up with water up to this lip here. As soon as you open the petrol cap, all that water goes straight into your tank. Now I've encountered that a couple of times just recently, because I thought, oh yeah, I'll take the bike out, the weather's nice, had been raining a few days before, forgot all about the water in there, opened it up, boom, straight in she goes. Stupidly enough, I decided to see if she'll start, because I've encountered it before. A little bit of water got in, got the thing closed, thought yeah, we'll start her up. She ran her off for a few days, but eventually burnt that water off. But at this point though, she didn't start, and I thought great, didn't have a lot of fuel in it, which was okay. So what I did was pulled the fuel tank, drained all the fuel, you know, pulled the injectors out, give them a wipe down, cleaned out the airbox, basically everything, so give it a clean. I did have the fuel pump out, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how to pull the fuel pump out, and we'll give you a quick rundown on how to get the tank. If you have a look at another video where I change the spark plugs, you'll see how to get the tank and everything off. Needless to say, you've got to take off these side panels, take off the seat. There's a bolt here that the fuel tank pivots on. Lift it up, and a couple of bolts here on the side. So get all those done. Bear with me. Here comes the dog. Get all that done, take the fuel tank off, and then you'll have access to the fuel pump underneath. Now, I've always thought the fueling had a bit of an issue, and wanted to see if there was a fuel filter, but I've looked on lots of different forums, and all the different forums say no, there's no serviceable fuel filter in these bikes. I did find a forum post say, I think there is actually on the bottom of the fuel filter, bottom of the fuel pump, once you pull it out, there is a small material like filter, and the guy that posted that and showed how to pull it apart basically said that he was having similar issues to me. Once I redid this after the water had got in it and whatever, took it for a ride, and look, I just mostly ride this around town. It doesn't get to get up through the revs too much, you know, 5 or 6, sometimes a little bit more depending, you know, if there's set of lights and some dickhead beside me trying to beat me off. But that was a bad choice of words. Anyway, so I took it for a good run, thought yeah, we'll test her out, got it on some open roads. I'd hit up to around about let's say somewhere between 8 and 10,000, and it was not like hitting a brick wall, but it was like it was starving for fuel. It would stutter and it would gasp, and it would jump around, and it was all horrible. Anywhere else in the rev range it's fine, probably not idling and running as smooth as it could, but it was a lot better than it was. So what we're going to do, because I did actually blow out in the bottom where the fuel gets sucked into the fuel pump, and a bit of rust and dirt and muck come out, so I've got to assume that it's pretty nasty in there. So what we're going to do is, once I get that out, I'll show you the little trick to get the fuel pump out. Once I've got the tank off and we've got it upside down, because there's quite a lot of fuel in this, so I've got to be a bit careful. Not the best time to do it, but since I've still got all the tools, sort of, you know, laying around and whatever from when I did it just yesterday. We're going to jump in this, we're going to do it again, and hopefully we'll do it right, and I'll show you through the process. Right, let's get to it. Next thing you'll see is fuel tank hopefully will be off. Actually, I might show you just getting the clips off the fuel tank, and everything else is pretty straightforward. So if there's anything else I spot that I think might be handy for you to know, I'll show you that along the way. Otherwise, next thing you'll see is probably going to be the fuel tank upside down and me taking off the fuel pump. All right. Okay, so here we go. So I've got all the side panels off, the bolts out the side of the frame here, which hold the tank on. Unfortunately, this here has, let's make that focus a bit better, this here is snapped, so I don't actually need to worry about taking that bolt out. For some reason I always seem to undo it, but I can just slip that off. Gotta get that plastic welded. Once you get this off, you need to disconnect this cable here. So what you do is just push down. I might actually need to or is it lift up? Sorry, hard to do with one hand. Here we go, lift up and pull out. So there's a little tab on it, just there, so just lift that up. I was trying to pinch the sides in and do all sorts of stupid stuff, thinking how it was going to come off. And this is actually a tricky part, because I've got so much fuel in it, so it's pretty heavy. In addition to the weight of the tank, it's got, I don't know, whatever, 17 litres of fuel in it. So I've taken this bolt out here, which I probably, in retrospect, should have probably left in for a second. That's what she looks like. It's going to take the nut off that and pop that back in, because I want to actually just pivot the tank first before I actually pull it out to undo the fuel lines underneath. So I'm just going to put that in, so it's going to lift up. And what you'll notice, once you've got everything undone, just grab it from the front and she pivots up like that. Okay, so as you can see, we've got the fuel tank propped up, so it's pivoted on the back there. Just grab a stick or something like this, grab something out of the backyard, just stick it down the front here somewhere, into the forks, here or something like that, and just, you can see that's a Y fork, so that's kind of handy. That just lifts it up, gives you access to here. Now just be, obviously the bike lane's off to the side, off the left, because it's sitting on the stand a little bit. So if you've got this full of fuel, be real wary about where you put that stick. Just sort of balance it, hold onto the stick, make sure that it's going to sit there, because if you get that wrong with the full tank of fuel, it's going to topple over and it's going to come off, and you know, all sorts of a mess. Now, apologies for not giving you a listen to what this actually sounds like initially, and what the issue sounds like, but I've ridden this home from work and I didn't want to start it up and run it, because obviously I'm going to be taking off some fuel lines, and we don't want to be doing that with the engine still being hot. So I rode this afternoon, a couple of hours ago, and I've just felt the engine in there it's not too bad. So this is probably a good place for you to see. So you can see that these little clip things here on all the fuel lines, they're all the same, real easy to get off. You basically just push it in from this side and this side, they're the same, and then with, you know, 2 fingers, pinch it and push it down, and you'll find it'll pop out down the back. It shouldn't pop all the way out, but it should pop off, and then you can pull that fuel line off. So okay, so fuel tank off. This is what I've actually disconnected. You can see this is the, just get that to focus, this is the main line from the from the fuel tank. It comes in almost like a Z fashion, and here's the clips here. So you can see, once you've popped them, that'll actually pop down like that. There we go, and you'll see that comes out nice and easy, and they won't actually fall out unless you put too much pressure on them. But you've really got to get them down and out before you can apply pressure to actually pull that off the tap or the exit point of the fuel tank. So obviously be careful, make sure your engine's cool, because you are going to drop some fuel down here on top of the engine here. While you're in here, not a bad time to flush the radiator and refill your coolant bottle, because that's a pain in the ass to get to if you don't. So we've got that off, do that. If you've got a battery charger and you haven't ridden the bike for a while, now's a good time to charge the battery as well, because again, the fuel tank comes down to here, and you can't actually get to the positive terminal of your battery. So chuck it on a charger for a little while, even if it's going to take you half an hour, just top the battery up, or even better, which I'm going to get around to doing, is actually running some wire to both of these terminals here, run it up the back here. What I'm going to do, going to run it up here out under the seat and stick a couple of Anderson poles on it. That way I can just hook it up to charge, just lift the seat up, put it on charge and leave it in here overnight or whatever like that, so I don't have to keep pulling the seat off to charge it. You know, give it a bit of a blowout, all that sort of stuff. Fuel filters under here if you need to get to it. Here's the injectors here. I took all them off, gave it a bit of a clean out and a dry out. So we're good to go. Let's go over here to the fuel tank so you can see she's off and she's upside down. Here's your fuel pump here, and we will take it off and you'll get a better look. You've got I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts here which are a 10mm. And then we've got to pull this out, and I'll show you the little trick to getting this out, because you can't just yank on it. There is a little tab that catches on the inside lip of the tank when you go to pull it off, and I'll show you that. Just be wary of that, and there's a bit of a technique just to give it a pull out. Once you've had it in and out a few times, it tends to get a bit easier, but when you first get it and you're trying to pull it out, you'll be, bugger this, why won't this come out? And you'll see why, and I'll show you a little trick with that. Alright, so we've got all these bolts out. Now what you can do is just start to lift this. Now we'll find a side that gives us, and it might be easier to show you when I get it out, but hopefully you can see. Now you've got to be careful because obviously this has still got fuel in it. You can see where those wires are going, sort of down to that blue connection there. Just under that there's a little bit of a tab, looks like a little bit of a triangle there, and that's actually what catches on the edge of the tank. I think you can see that in there. Now what you need to do is actually compress that a little bit, so if you sort of pull it at a bit of an angle, I'm not going to be able to do this one-handed, I don't think. Oh no, here we go. You can see she's just coming up there, and then it does require a little bit of force, but once you get that compressed, you can see that. Here we go. Right there, this is what we're talking about. There's like this little tab. What you may need to do is get like a flathead screwdriver in there when you start to lift it out, and just bend it in a little bit until you can catch it on the lip of the tank, and then this is all pretty much flat down this side. Once you've got it to this point and you've got that tab bent a little bit or compressed, you will find, and I've got to be careful again because the tank's not in a precarious position, but it's not ideal. You'll find that she will actually just drop out. We're just going to walk out of here and tip her up, because we're probably still going to have some fuel in her. There we go, you can see that fuel coming out there. Better out here than in the shed. Give her a bit of a shake. There we go, some more fuel coming out the top there. So what we actually need to do, as per the advice on the forum, and it seems pretty straightforward, is we've got a couple of screws. Hopefully we're in frame there. We've got one on this side, we've got one on this side, and you can actually, if you have a look closely at it, you'll see it when you pull it out. Just trying to stay in frame here. There's like this rail, and this thing's actually going to slide up off this rail. This whole plastic piece is going to slide up off this rail. The whole thing's going to come out. And we also need to, these two connections here, which I believe are for our, well, I suppose it's the power for the pump. These two screws here, obviously you need to know which side is which and how they're going to go back on. Be careful with these, because I've had these off and they're a bit of a pain in the ass to get back on as well, obviously because this is, you know, the area to work in is quite small. One screw on this side, screw on this side, she's all going to pull out, and we're going to have the filter etc on the bottom, and I'll show you what that looks like, and we'll see on the bottom of the fuel pump. Expecting it to be quite messy and rusty. Well, she's all apart, and let's just say, wow, this thing is filthy. I think this might even be worse than the one that you'll see on the forum. Going to get in and have a look. This is actually the filter on the bottom, and you can see the absolute gunk and muck that is on the bottom of this. Now, according to the forum and the information that I've been able to obtain from having a look online, there is no mention of a filter in these, and it certainly refers to this as being a non-serviceable part. So there's no just going off and buying a new one of these. And why, my God, why would you not be able to replace this? I mean, look at that. That is horrific. I mean, look, it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing because it's shit. And we're going to have to clean that up. The good news is that that's definitely going to have to be the problem of what's causing my fueling issues. Now, let's have a look at the bottom. This is actually where the fuel goes before it gets sucked up by the pump through that filter. Hang on, I'll get you a better look at that. But you're going to be absolutely amazed at the filth that is in there. Hang on, let's go. My hand out of the way. Sorry about this, guys. We've got a. I think you can see that there. Look at the absolute shit. Looks like build up of rust and sludge and God knows what. I mean, I don't even know what that is. But that's, you can see that the filter, or what they're using as a filter, basically sits on the bottom of that. And you can see there's all this sludge and stuff. I don't even want to touch it. Yeah, I mean, I suppose the good news is that it's coming off. So I'm going to have to pull that out. Well, I'm going to have to try and figure out how to get that focused again. Going to have to figure out what I need to do to get that clean. But Jesus, this thing's going to fly when I get that sorted out, because that's obviously been starving for fuel for a long time. As clean as I could get that. So I removed all the gunk and stuff, and I'll give you a look at what was in there in a sec. Just get that a clean up. Look, this is going to need more of a go than that, because you can see there's a bit of rust here and there. That's going to need to be sorted out, but for now, just want to get it clean and get it back to be rideable. And here's our, I might as well just leave that there, that gives you a good enough look. And here's our so-called filter here. You can see that when you're feeling it, it feels like there's a couple of parallel tubes that run sort of down here, or they come up from here. I think you can see where it goes in here, and then run up that way. And it feels like there's a couple of little tubes that sort of come down, maybe 4 of them. So think of it like 2 fingers, and then out of each finger there's some perpendicular little pipes that come out, so basically pointing towards the bottom. And you can see where those suction points are, and it looks like obviously it's been sucking in those same spots for ages, and it's actually got like a build up of gunk, which was almost like metal. To give you an idea what come out of the bottom of the actual the fuel pump itself, like that chamber, hopefully you can see that that's metal, so it's obviously come away from the inside of the fuel tank, and there's quite a few sizable bits, you know, about as size of your small fingernail, I guess. That one's probably the largest one there, so definitely needed to clean out. So guys, if you see any sort of rust inside your fuel tank, look out, here comes the dog. Go buddy, go. Then it's definitely worth jumping in and you know, having a look and giving it a clean. Look, this is a, I don't know, maybe an hour job, couple of hour job at the absolute most, depending on how dirty this is. You know, pulling the tank off and all that sort of stuff, that takes you about 10-15 minutes, depending on you know, what you've actually got in here, and how dirty it is as to how long it's going to take you to sort that out. But you know, a couple of hour job, it's worth doing, getting in and have a look. So basically what I did with this was just hit it with some WD-40 and just massage it. I actually gave a little bit of a slight hit with a wire brush, just to get most of the gunk off, and I've picked at these bits, but that's as good as it's going to get. I think on the forum somebody said that you can actually, this is the same as another model bike that he was riding, so I might have to look into that and get a new one, and then just massage it, and all the rust and shit come out. The pump actually had rusty looking fuel in it, so I've given that a good blowout as well. And then what I did was just hit this with the air blower, and just blew all the you know, movable stuff. But you can see the colour of my hand, maybe not so much, but just the amount of rust and shit that was there, unbelievable. So I can imagine this is going to run much better. We'll put it together. Unfortunately it's raining a little bit outside, so I don't know if she's going to get a top speed run, but we'll definitely get her out and give it a test out.